As a goat owner who wants to keep her goats healthy, I never feed my boy goats these two things. But first, if you like videos about goats, chickens, or dogs, or you just want to watch me wander around doing farm chores while having hot flashes, give me a follow. Before I even got my goats, when I was just thinking about getting goats, I started doing a ton of research, and I quickly discovered there is a big difference in girl goats and boy goats. And I really honed in on the research on boy goats because I knew that's what we were getting. So what I learned is that boy goats, whether they are wethers or intact, are incredibly prone to something called urinary calculi. I have made several videos about this. I've made one video that tells you what it is, what causes it, the symptoms to look out for. I made another video with 3 tips on how to prevent it. But this video is going to be a little different because with each of these videos I make, I get 2 different types of comments. I get the comments that are like, oh my God, I lost my goat to this 6 months ago, or I lost one of my goats to this 2 years ago. I get messages, DMs about this, and I'm telling you, the ages of the goats that people are losing to this ranges from anywhere to 6 weeks to 5 years. So it's not like you get to a certain age and you're out of the woods. This is something that goats, boy goats, are susceptible to their entire lives. The other type of message I get are from people pushing back on whatever tips or advice I've given, saying that they feed their goats that one thing I said not to feed and they've never had an issue, or that they banded their goats at 8 weeks and they've never experienced urinary calculi. And what I have to say to that is, okay, there are also people who drink a fifth of vodka every day and never have a health issue in their entire lives, live to be 96. But those are typically considered the exception. And even if with goats, it's not the exception, that there are just some goats that do fine no matter what you do, why wouldn't you try anything you can to prevent urinary calculi in your boy goats? Because let me tell you, the messages I get from these people, they are devastated. It comes on so quickly. It's really, a lot of times you don't even get veterinary intervention in time because the symptoms are kind of subtle at first, or you might be thinking that there's something else because some of them are similar to symptoms of bloat, because the symptoms are like discomfort, pain. The only one that really sets it apart is trouble urinating. But how many of us are sitting out there just watching our goats pee? And if there are simple steps you can take to prevent it, why not? So here are the 2 things you need to stop feeding your boy goats if you want to prevent urinary calculi. The first one is grain. I mentioned something about not feeding my boys grain in one of my previous videos, and someone commented that they feed their boys grain when they're breeding. Okay, no boy goat needs grain just because they're humping a few minutes out of every day. Maybe when they're babies and they're growing, you can give them some grain. But even this makes me nervous considering the stories I've heard of people losing their goats to urinary calculi at 6 weeks old. Grain is tricky because boy goats in their diet need to maintain a calcium to phosphorus ratio of 2 to 1. And it is really difficult to calculate this in grain. You'd have to be calculating every single ingredient, the portions of every single ingredient in the grain that you're buying. And honestly, boy goats don't need grain. Most goats don't need grain. Does only really need grain when they're pregnant or nursing and need extra calcium, calories, energy. Those are really the only goats that need grain. But boy goats definitely do not need grain, and you are actively increasing their chances of urinary calculi because you're not able to maintain and really keep an eye on that 2 to 1 calcium to phosphorus ratio. And the second thing you should stop feeding your boy goats if you want to keep them healthy is hay that does not meet this calcium to phosphorus ratio of 2 to 1. The biggest one I see is alfalfa. Alfalfa has a calcium to phosphorus ratio of 5 to 1. That far exceeds the ratio needed to keep your boy goats healthy. Now, I get for a lot of you who have mixed herds of boys and girls, it's a little bit more difficult because you're giving alfalfa to the girls. What do you do for the boys? And I'm about to be in this situation because in just 3.5 weeks, we are getting 3 baby goats, 2 of whom are girls. And these will be the first girls we've ever had. And I am already brainstorming ways to separate them. Give the babies grain while they're growing, although even that's going to be really limited because there is 1 boy that's coming with them. So 2 girls and a boy. But I know at a certain time, in about 1.5 years or 2, if I want to breed 1 or both of these little girls, I'm going to have to give them grain. They're going to need alfalfa. And I'm going to have to come up with ways to separate them because I'm not going to just be slopping out alfalfa and hoping for the best with my boy goats. So you can easily find out the calcium to phosphorus ratio of various hays by going onto ChatGPT or even just Googling it. I personally give a mix of Timothy grass hay and orchard grass hay. They both have a calcium to phosphorus ratio of about 1:1 or 1.5:1, which isn't perfect, but what it lacks, I'm able to supplement by giving them constant access to loose minerals. So basically, to sum up this video, stop feeding your boy goats things that do not meet that 2:1 calcium to phosphorus ratio, mainly grain and hays like alfalfa. They don't need it. What are your boy goats really doing? They're not carrying babies. They're not giving birth. They're not nursing. So they don't need these things. They don't need extra calories. And their little urinary tracts and their little narrow urethras definitely don't need this stuff. So that is my advice for the day. Hope you all have a great day.